All right, and welcome to another episode of Mets Update with Toots here on June 16th, 2011. The sixth episode of Mets Update with Toots, and probably the most optimistic of the six episodes. As the Mets are back at 500 after last night's win in Atlanta, they've taken the first two in a three-game set with Atlanta to close out a 10-game road trip, in which they're 6-3 right now. They'll try to finish it off with a sweep of Atlanta tonight. That would be absolutely amazing if that could happen, but got to be said that it's a success already. We'll just say that right there. But a very optimistic episode here because the Mets are, like I said, they're back at 500. And they've been playing really well, minus Wright and Ike Davis. They don't have much power in the lineup right now at all, if any. And they are hanging in there. They're playing really well. And it all starts with starting pitching. That's the bottom line right now. But before we get into everything, I just want to remind you, it's time for the Tootie Exacta. And the videos to go check out, Billy Idol, Eyes Without a Face. And also just go to YouTube and type in Vancouver Stanley Cup Riots. I mean, that was a riot watching those clips, so please go check those out.
Meet the Mets, step right up.
All right, now, like I said, we're at 500 here on June 16th, and we're in third place right now, trying to finish off this road trip. The Mets right now are doing it with a little bit of smoke and mirror action from the offense, but they're doing it because of one thing. Starting pitching. Their starting pitching has been unreal. All of them, 1 through 5. Even Pelfrey's been the only one maybe stumbling a little bit. But the other 4 guys have been absolutely awesome for the last month or so, which is why this team's starting to play well. It all comes down to starting pitching in baseball. Starting pitching is going to dictate how your bullpen progresses, because if they're not doing good, the bullpen's got to come in games early. Your bullpen's going to be shot. All right, so their success is based on the starting pitching success. And right now, the rotation's really getting it done. First guy you got to mention, Dylan G. With last night's game, even though he only pitched 4 innings because of the rain delay, has been unbelievable. They're 10-0 in his 10 starts this year. He is 7-0. Should have been 8-0 last night if he could have pitched the 5th inning if the rain didn't start. He has been absolutely unreal. Now, it's still early. You can still say, is this just a hot half, or have the Mets found something here? I don't know yet. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see what he does the rest of the season. But you cannot say enough about him right now. He is really getting it done. And everyone else is getting it done too. Nice has looked awesome. Capuano's looked great lately. And Dickey is starting to look like last year's Dickey. And even Pelfrey's had a couple decent starts, even though he's probably the one guy, the loose link in the chain right now. But the starting pitching is just on fire. Then you got to look at their offense right now. Okay? They're getting it done. They're not scoring that many runs. They're obviously not hitting home runs. But you know what they're doing? That no Mets team I've been watching in the last few years has done it all. They're getting big hits when they need the big hits. Big 2-out hits, runners in scoring position. They're upwards to the top of the league in those types of categories right now. Jerry Manuel's Mets, even Willie Randolph's Mets towards the end, these guys couldn't get a clutch hit ever. And I'm telling you right now, probably David Wright being out of the lineup has a little bit to do with it, because the Mets right now, they're not striking out as much. And Davis too, because he has his share of strikeouts. But without those 2 guys in the lineup, although they're going to miss their power, they're not striking out at all right now. And they're just getting singles, getting rallies going. Reyes is absolutely on fire. It starts all with him. But that's how the offense is getting it done right now. And you got to be a little bit impressed right now. Back to 500. Confidence is high. I don't want to go crazy yet because it's still obviously very early. Still 90-plus games left. But honestly, in the beginning of the season, I didn't think they'd be in it at this point. I know it's still early, but they're in it right now. You can't say they're not in it. Being at 500, that puts them 3.5 games out of the wild card leader right now. Again, 90 games. I get it. Trust me, I understand. But they're forcing you to smile right now when you watch these games. They're getting it done. Collins is the man right now. He's got to be considered right now Manager of the Year possibility. Definitely. Again, I know it's early. These are just things to discuss. Definitely a possibility. And he's got to be in that conversation. And Reyes, for that matter, MVP. But we won't go much further than that one on that just yet. Now, So that's where these Mets stand right now. One more in Atlanta tonight, and then some interleague play. Angels are coming in. I believe the A's are coming in after that. More winnable games because those two teams aren't that great. So this could be maybe a little run here, maybe not. We'll see. But it's hard not to be a little excited right now. All right, any true Met fan right now, the blood's pumping a little bit right now. You're feeling it a little bit. You don't want to go too crazy yet, but you're starting to feel it a little bit. Now let's see what they do with it. Let's see how they run with it. They could lose 5 in a row. Who knows? And they're right back out of it. But at least they're keeping you. You're watching right now. You're watching the games right now, and you're interested. So now it's time for the mailbag. All right, 2 questions today. And one comes from my cousin Dave, Harrington Park. Question being, knowing he knows I'm a huge Mike Piazza fan, he asked me if Piazza being involved with performance-enhancing drugs, how would that make you feel? What would that change your opinion of him? And honestly, odds are he was probably doing something anyway because they all were in that era. So if it did come out, which at this point I don't think it would, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. That was just the era Piazza played in. He played from the early 90s until, the mid-2000s. That was the height of the steroid era. And he was a big dude, and he hit bombs without a doubt. So I wouldn't really be that upset about it because that was the era that he was playing in. So that's with that. Jimmy K asks, Toots, haven't we all seen enough of Jason Bay at this point? As much as it is a pain to see a $60 million plus investment be a complete bust, it is more painful to watch the guy step into the batter's box day by day. I can't remember a time watching a man more clueless at the plate, never mind waiting once a month for an extra base hit. It's safe to say this is way beyond the slump. The Mets have tried everything to make him come out of this rut. What's next for Jason Bay? Also, put together your Mets dream rotation, 5 starters in order during my lifetime, 1986 to 2011. Well, that's going to be fun, Jimmy K. That's definitely going to be fun making that rotation, which I've already done. But first, let's talk about Jason Bay. Jason Bay, what can you say? And I'm not trying to be funny right here with the rhyming right now. I just don't know what to say anymore. I'm out of words. Bay is, I don't know, he's a shell of himself, and they're going to keep playing him, although Terry Collins has shown signs recently. The other day, he put Willie Harris in for Bay against J.R. Jurgens because Willie Harris hits him. Now, you can put Willie Harris in a couple different spots on the field, but he chose to put him in left field for Jason Bay. So that was a little bit of a statement by Collins. That's why you got to like Terry Collins in these situations, because they know. Jason Bay knows now that he's going to miss some starts. He's going to start, sitting on the bench during some of these games because Collins is going to play matchup with other guys. And I don't know what they're going to do with him. I could easily see him becoming the type of guy that's going to maybe play 4 or 5 days a week instead of every day. So I don't know what's next for him, Jimmy. I really don't. Well, you got to give him a little more time to see if something turns on or what. But honestly, watching him, he just looks so not like the old Jason Bay that I don't really expect anything really to come of it. Just let him go out there and play some defense and get a hit once in a while is all I'm really looking for right now. So can't be greedy with him because I don't think we're going to get anything out of him. So my dream rotation, Jimmy K wants to know. My dream rotation. Got the old notes out. Made a little outline here. We'll go from 5 to 1. My number 5 starter on my dream rotation would be Pedro Martinez. Now, Pedro falls in at number 5 because, he obviously didn't have that many years with the Mets, and half of them weren't even healthy. So he pretty much had 2 really good years with the Mets. But, he is Pedro, and from 86 to 2001, I got to throw Pedro on that rotation. Number 4 would be Johan Santana. Kind of the same thing. We've seen a couple monster years out of Johan, but then a couple injury-riddled years. Again, he's still Johan Santana, and he's got to be up there. Number 3 on my rotation. Finally, a guy that actually was a horse for this team during some of their best years of our lifetime. That would be Al Leiter. Al was probably the ace of the Mets staff from probably like 98 till they got Tom Glavine, and then Tom Glavine was the ace of the staff after that. But Leiter was a bulldog, pitched in a lot of big games. We all remember the Game 5 against the Yankees, the loss. He threw like 140 pitches, pitched great, should have won that game. But Al Leiter's got to be thrown up there. Number 3. Number 2, David Cone. David Cone as a Met was very dominant and had some of the best years of his career as a Met. And he was just that good. He's got to be number 2. And number 1, I don't think there's any question if you're looking at the years from my lifetime, again, 86 to present, Doc Gooden's got to be number 1. He obviously was arguably the best pitcher in the game a few of those years. And, you know, just 25 wins in 85. Obviously, he was on the 86 staff, Rookie of the Year, all that. It could have been much more of a career if it wasn't for the extracurriculars, but, you know, what are you going to do? So, but he had a good run, Doc Gooden, as a Met, so he would be my number 1. So, again, 1 through 5, the Tootie Met Dream rotation, 86 to 2001. Doc Gooden, David Cone, Al Leiter, Johan Santana, Pedro Martinez. 3 honorable mentions I threw in there. Mike Hampton, just 1 year as a Met, but he did get them to the World Series along with Leiter. So Mike Hampton is up there. Tom Glavine I'll throw in. He had a couple of years that weren't that great, but he did have some years where he should have had, 16, 17, 18 wins, but the Mets were very bad, and he didn't come close to that. And finally, Bobby Jones. That's the my one little one that people probably scratch their head a little bit, but Bobby Jones had some very solid years for this team in the late 90s. So that's going to wrap it up for this week. But again, 500 Ball Club right now, June 16th. Hey, do you think they would be here at this point at 500, especially at the 5-13 start? I certainly didn't think so. So let's roll with it. Let's see what happens, and we'll see you next time. We'll see you on the next episode, and have some faith. You never know. Dream run, is it possible? Too early to tell. Definitely too early to tell, but stay tuned.